Mambo Vipi, what's happening? My name is Anyiko Owoko and I am a lover of arts, culture and everything African. And here we grant you front row access to your favorite celebrities, creators, the biggest personalities and industry experts. Come with me, you're now a VIP. This is what to expect on this week's episode.
Germany has systems that work. And that's why we're in the streets fighting for our systems to work. If we had systems that actually support us, systems that work, policies that are there to support the arts, the events that we're trying to put out, then we'd be having different conversations.
You organize an event, and when you're doing your budget line item, food, alcohol has the biggest budget, then the VIP zone has the biggest budget. Then you hire the big cast for the artist who will be performing. Then you do a lot of marketing. You print a lot of banners. Then, we hadn't talked about security. Then now you put security somewhere down there as AOB.
At night, there's usually blind spots in the different spaces, right? So we hire guards with dogs at these spaces to make sure the blind spots are catered for. And as you're dealing with kids, as much as you're getting police, and I know sometimes they're armed, we encourage them, if you're coming close to the kids, please don't show the weapons to the kids. That's not nice, actually.
Hey, what's up and welcome back to VIP Access. It's always amazing to have your company. And we're going to have a great episode this week once again. We are finally coming to the end of our series of episodes spotlighting events and everything that goes behind the scenes, from production, artist bookings, managing your fans, and curating festivals. Last 2 weeks, we had great conversations around curating festivals. We gave you the lowdowns regarding the upcoming Nairobi Lit Festival, the NBO Film Festival, Blankets and Wine, and Folk Fusion. This week, we want to dive a little deeper into something that has been popping up at every one of our conversation regarding events, which is safety. A lot of the panelists have spoken about safety quite significantly. So we're going to go back to a conversation regarding this. And today's topic of discussion is safety planning for more inclusive and safer spaces in the industry. Event venues and cultural spaces should be accessible and safe for everyone, especially at night. But we're still seeing and experiencing violence and danger, particularly towards girls and women. There's a need to formulate new policies and practices to develop a safer culture, especially around public spaces, events, and nightlife. And this is something that has cropped up at most of our conversations. So the question today is, can we identify safer policies and programs? And how can we rope stakeholders and the people who are involved to make the right decisions and put in the right policies? I spoke to Chris Kirwa, a renowned event organizer and producer, Njeri Gitungo, who is a producer, program manager, DJ, and member of the Nairobi's Nest Collective, and Marianne Wamuyu from Book Bunk Trust, the producers of Nairobi Litfest, looking at some of the fresh approaches that our industry can put in place to enhance safety and accessibility for inclusive spaces. And without further ado, I'm going to start with Mr. Christopher Kirwa. Oh my God, where do we start? You have over 20 years in the event space. Yes. Like when I was starting in the media scene, you were already killing it. You really have been in the game for a long time, and we are happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. This is my first time here. So I'm really pleased. Even when I was coming, I got lost a bit. But thanks for inviting me. I think these kind of talks are important. I know I'm supposed to introduce myself. So my name is Christopher Kirwa. I am a co-founder of a company called Kate Chris Limited. Kate is my wife. Chris is me. Limited is everybody else in the company. We've been in the event space in terms of experience 20 years. The company is 10 years. So, there's a difference between how long the company has been and the experience you have, because by the time you're starting a company, then you need the necessary experience to run that company. So before that, I was employed in several agencies. One of them was the EXP agency that had a footprint across 17 countries. Out of that, I was able to learn what is known as experiential marketing. But all along, I kept feeling we had everything in place except safety and security. So I'm happy to be here to talk about this.
My name is Marianne Wamuyu. I am the Programs and Events Manager at Book Bunk. And as you said, yeah, we were in the thick of it. I'll be happy to talk about what measures we took. Book Bunk we're renovating Nairobi's iconic libraries. And we've renovated 2 so far in Eastlands and Kaloleni. And now we are working on renovating the Macmillan in town, just along Banda Street. You're all welcome to come and visit the libraries. What we do is we create spaces and we like to turn them as palace for the people, because at the end of the day, you want to be treated as a king somewhere, right? So we are creating this space to make you kings and queens of those spaces. So yeah, more to come. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And then last but not least is Njeri Gitungo.
I am a producer, program manager, DJ. I wear many hats, just like a lot of people in Nairobi. But I work with the Nest Collective, and we are a multidisciplinary arts collective who work with different mediums, film, literature, music, curating events. And we work with different themes, and a lot of our themes are around Blackness, queerness, identity, being Africans, being citizens in Kenya. And so we've done a lot of work. And we also get to do a lot of the work that we do because we're also quite a number of us at the collective. Honored to be here to discuss inclusivity and safety, because one of the things that we've done, one of the events we curated is Strictly Silk, which is an all-women's, trans women, non-binary folk event that we started in 2018. And so it will be interesting to hear the thoughts of other speakers as well and to share my insights.
If you could just break it down for us when we're talking about event spaces, events themselves, cultural spaces, what do you need to consider when it comes to safety and inclusivity, or either one of the two? For you as a consultant in this specific field, what do you consider?
So a little bit of background. When I was starting my events journey, I didn't start with a lot of special focus on safety and security. This came about when I attended, I wouldn't mention the event for the sake of whoever was behind those events. And we had an event where the entire structure collapsed. Some people died. We had an event where the security couldn't manage the crowds. So people crashed into the event. And people are trampled on, because when people crash into an event, it means there was no, vetting. Like when we are getting inside here, the security guy was busy vetting us to know that we are safe to come in here. So then the result of that was that a lot of people now lost a lot of the items. Some were knifed, There was a huge event we had in Uhuru Park sometime. It was a political event, and the security was overwhelmed. There was a lot of theft. There was a lot of, assault. So I started studying safety in events because of that. And then I discovered the problem is with us, the event organizers. It's not the people. So you organize an event, and when you're doing your budget line item, food, alcohol has the biggest budget. Then the VIP zone has the biggest budget. Then you hire the big cast for the artist who will be performing. Then you do a lot of marketing. You print a lot of banners. Then, we hadn't talked about security. Then now you put security somewhere down there as AOB. So a lot of our events, the safety and security is AOB. It's that thing you discuss, and then you say, so who normally does security? Nani works for a certain security company. So you call that security company, and the guy runs a security company that provide guards to guard banks and some buildings. Then now you brought him to the event space. They have absolutely no clue. A guy who runs bouncers, as they call them, they're supposed to be called ETSOs, event security trained officers. But who has trained them? Then now you bring them to the space. The guy has just come from the club with red eyes. So now he's here at the gate trying now to know what to control. There is zero briefing that happens most of the time in events.
What are the different considerations when it comes to security protocol that you all know as the event managers and producers, like, we can't miss out on this?
For me, when we get a brief from a client, if it's not our event, the first consideration is the venue. Venue determines almost 50% of your security risks. So if you tell me today we are going to Waterfront in Gong Racecourse and you tell me we go to KICC, we will use all our persuasion skills to convince you to shift the event to KICC. Why? Because KICC by default is already safe.
The way Chris says he's had experience to see this is a goon, this is a thug. The community members themselves know who's a goon, who's coming to disrupt the event. And something that we appreciate the community for is if they identify that person, they either take the initiative to get them out or they consult with the security. And we always have a security desk in the libraries where we are having this event. So in case you feel you're not okay, in case you're about it, you just go to the security desk. And also we wear uniform things like t-shirts to understand this is a Book Bunk team member. In case I have a question, in case I don't feel I am okay, this is the person I should reach out to. Yeah.
What are the additional measures that you feel strongly need to be put in place to tighten security and safety generally when it comes to the event scene?
Whoever will be watching this is a masterclass coming from us here, sharing our experiences, which can save you a lot of trouble. There is a day I just posted on my Instagram and Facebook account, and I asked, Germans are having elections and Berlin Marathon is happening. Can that happen in Kenya? You can imagine the reaction. So what is this level they've reached where they can host a whole marathon on a Sunday and they're having elections? You imagine Kenya elections, then we have Stanchat Marathon. So why are we not at that space? It's because we have not taken safety and security seriously. The reason why there is insecurity is because people are good people. Let me repeat this. The reason why we have a lot of insecurity in events is because nobody wakes up from home as a bad person. They woke up from home, paid a ticket. They just want to go and do what? Have fun. Now, we need to change. Before you leave home, you have to prepare like you are going to a war zone, because that's what it is, guys. And this mostly to the ladies here or any other person. When you leave your house like this, just know 50% of your safety and security has vanished. You're already what? Prey. Can you really contain insecurity in a concert of 15,000 people 100%? You can't. You, as the person attending this event, you need to help us help you by being very cautious that where I am, all these people that are around me are not necessarily like me. That's very important, okay? So when you're planning an event, safety and security, and we haven't talked about safety, safety and security need to be item number one, not alcohol and food.
Germany has systems that work, and that's why we are in the streets fighting for our systems to work. If we had systems that actually support us, systems that work, policies that are there to support the events that we're trying to put out, then we'd be having different conversations.
These are some of the things that you need to think through. If I was the one coming to an event, how safe would I like to feel? How included will I like to feel? Ndio nikienda nyumbani, I'll just be raving about, oh, that event was amazing, and I was safe, and I felt really nice. Wakisema, even if they charge me 10,000 shillings, I will pay, because I know at the end of the day, I'll enjoy and I'll go home.
The recent anti-finance bill protest is an example also of unforeseeable and unprecedented social political uprisings that can cause disruption and violence. When that happened, this led to a lot of events being cancelled or postponed for fear of safety. Generally, there's a need to formulate new policies and practices to develop a safe culture around public spaces, be it events, nightlife, or cultural spaces.
We also have very good stakeholders, security especially. During this time, they were giving us messages. So this is what we have. This is the news we are getting. So as you're preparing, you need to put this in mind. At night, there's usually blind spots in the different spaces, right? So we hire guards with dogs at these spaces to make sure the blind spots are catered for. And as you're dealing with kids, as much as you're getting police, and I know sometimes they're armed, we encourage them, if you're coming close to the kids, please don't show the weapons to the kids. That's not nice, actually. We had to sit down and think through everything, and I'd say it's a team effort. I'm happy that the team were able to come through in the short notice, and I think after that we slept for like a week because every adrenaline, every thinking capacity that you're doing, we were able to rest, and we were thankful that we were able to execute a very good event.
What advice would you give to an upcoming event manager or producer when organizing an event and when trying to make sure you will have a successful event?
I think number one, what people don't know is that today I look like maybe the guy who came to give advice. But guess what? Because of the other two panelists, yourself, I was also learning. So when an event like this is put together by you and Got Institute, it's very important for you back at home who is watching or wherever you're watching from to attend, because we learn and feed from each other.
Yeah.
So what has made us focus on safety and security at Kate Chris Limited is because of the cost of not doing it. Where you do an event and people are either injured, or you do an event and there are structures that collapsed. You do an event and you didn't do your safety checks, fire erupts. You do an event, you didn't have proper safety in terms of paramedics to respond and not react. You do an event and then you didn't plan with seasons. You planned with sunshine and then it rains.
Yeah.
You do an event, then protests happen.
Yeah.
What happens to you? So what we are discussing today is ability to prioritize risk assessment and mitigation measures, and to put alcohol and food below risk, safety and security.
So we know that you're a programs manager, but part of your role is not just events, but a lot of initiatives and programs that you're having at Book Bunk Trust. But today we're specifically speaking about events, safety, and inclusivity. And inclusivity is something huge for Book Bunk. Every single event, but not just the event, but every single thing that Book Bunk does makes sure that inclusivity is at the center of it. So what's your takeaway from today's event, and how can you advise somebody who wants to come up in events and is wondering about how to engage a community? Yeah.
I've learned a lot today, honestly, because I think no man is an island, because I'm still trying to wonder how Kirwa does. We are ahead of time. That part, if you hack it, you're gone, you're done, you're good. It's a learning thing every day on events and planning. I'd say inclusivity is a very major break for Book Bunk, because as much as we're creating these safe spaces, what are you creating them for? For everyone. Even if a cow wants to come and rest in the library, it has its own right. Every human is welcome in the library, because at the end of the day, that's where you find refuge. You find a place to escape through fiction. You want to learn about the laws of your land. That's the place you need to get the books for.
Njeri Gitungo from the Nest Collective, thank you so much for today. We had a really dope conversation about how to make our cultural spaces, event spaces, and events particularly more safer and more sensitive to inclusivity. And I wanted to ask you about something you spoke about, which I thought was so profound. One of the advices that you gave out to the audience was, don't do it alone. Make sure you have a team, and make sure this team is not just a team, but as diverse as possible. Could you break this down? Because I think many times people are like, I can do it myself.
I think when you're talking about diversity and inclusion, you can't do this by yourself. You don't know everything. You don't represent all marginalized communities. So you have to bring as many people as possible to the table. You have to bring them into the decision making and the planning of the events that you're proposing. Also, this job is quite taxing. It takes a lot from you, because also if you're being intentional, this involves giving people what they want, and you can't go at it by yourself. Another thing that would be great to do is also do surveys, have focus groups, hear from other people, receive feedback from other people, involve other collaborators, partners who are not just within your community, but expand on your community as well. So that's my takeaway. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
As we continue to wrap up our discussion on events at this juncture of the podcast, would like to reintroduce Frankie the brand, an event producer and curator, Gathoni Kimuyu, a scriptwriter who also doubles as a producer in theatre, and Diane, Ywaya, head of comms at Good Times Africa, producers of Blankets and Wine. I spoke to them right after our Industry Talks conversation, which was on event production, artist bookings, and managing your fans' experience. And here they are giving their last take at what you need to consider when it comes to event production and safety.
An amazing storyteller and producer at theatre events. Her name is Gathoni. Some of you know her as Queen Gathoni or Gathoni Kimuyu. How do you feel?
I feel so amazing. The audience was so spectacular. They had a million questions. I think this has set the precedence for what the year is going to be. I'm pretty excited. It was a really good event.
Thank you so much for coming and offering your valuable experience, insight, and advice. And I wanted to ask you, for somebody who's watching and wants to get into producing theatre, what are a few steps that they should take?
First things first, take some time to understand the market. Be ready to collaborate. Collaboration is very, very important, and especially collaborating with like-minded people. Don't be afraid to ask questions to the pioneers, to the people who are doing it and doing it well. I'm just a DM away, actually. I'm one of those people actually who read even requests. So if you DM me, I'm going to actually reply. And if it's worthy, we might even work together. So I think there's space for more theatre, for more stories, for more Kenyan stories, and even for newcomers. Please consider Kenyan stories before you do adaptations. Kenyan stories are so powerful and so important, and especially even going into the election year. And in the times that we're living in, Kenyan stories are the most important right now.
I love that. Kenyan stories are the ones. 2026, tell us what's upcoming. Which shows you're already working on. What should we look forward to from you in terms of theatre, upcoming theatre productions, or whatever else?
All right. So on the first weekend of June, we're rerunning Free Me, and we're hoping to run it for the whole 16 days of activism in November into December.
Congratulations. Thank you so much. Any other thing you'd like to say that I haven't asked?
Consume Kenyan stories, consume Kenyan art, consume Kenyan music.
On period.
Like, if you're not listening, if you're not consuming Kenyan stories, what else are you consuming? Yeah. We're worth it. We're worth it. Thank you for having me.
Much I appreciate. Frankie, the brand, who is a pro and a master when it comes to curating events, producing events, and booking talent. What's up, Frankie?
Hi, Anyiko.
You're so cool. You're the coolest guy who does big things and never talks. Si wange kidogo leo tusikie.
Me nakwanga behind the scenes. Being in front of the camera is very new to me. It's a humbling experience, yeah.
Okay. For someone who wants to get into producing events and booking talent, what kind of advice can you give them? Because kuna mtu hapo anasema, how will I get into this? Or how did Frankie get to where he is today, in a nutshell?
Yeah. My story in a nutshell is I started liking events when I was in high school. So when I finally finished, I was able to get out and see what people are doing. So when I actually went for one event, I was very excited by the whole layout, the landscape of everything, the stage design. It intrigued me, how can people be able to achieve all of these things? So I started doing my research and seeing who is involved in what, and I started DMing them and just telling them, give me a chance, give me a chance. I just want to see what you guys are usually up to. So that's how I got my first chance, and that's how I slowly started honing my craft. And 10 years later, I'm here.
Congratulations. Are there any of your events that we should look out for this year, or anything you're planning that you can let us know about?
For now, all I'll say is just keep it glued to our event pages, which is vibesonly.ke. We'll be announcing everything that we are doing this year. Apple. Yeah, I can't say much right now. We're in the process, yes, but I can't speak about it too much. To anyone who is watching this, I'd say follow your gut. Always put God first in everything that you're doing. Have a solid support system behind you. And no event is too big or too small. If you have an idea and you believe you can execute it, do it to the best of your ability. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Diane, Ywaya, the communications manager at Good Times African Blankets and Wine. What's up, girl?
Hi. So excited to be here.
Same. Thank you so much for coming to our Industry Talks event. I wanted to ask you, what's your experience from the event? What was the vibe?
The experience was life-changing, honestly. I think this is one of the many panels I've begun doing. The vibe was fantastic. The crowd was really amazing. Lots of people with lots of questions and also some insights for us as experts. It was really mind-opening and really fantastic to be able to be on this platform to be able to talk about the work that I do and to, just like empower people through it.
Fantastic. And I also wanted to ask, like, for someone who is in communications and PR and wants to get into promoting events, and especially a big festival like Blankets and Wine, which operates not just in Kenya, but in multiple regions. Last year, you guys had your first international festival in the UK. What should they look out for? And are there opportunities to work with the team? Because Blanket's team is like a huge team. Yeah. What kind of advice would you give them?
The advice I would give them is to be, first of all, just be very intentional about your work. Comms needs a lot of planning and level-headedness. So a lot of research, just being very intentional, do your research, a lot of learning, reading, because the spaces that we're on are also very dynamic. They keep on changing. Like when you think about social platforms and the likes. For anybody, artists or like publicists, comms people who are looking to get into the space, I'd like to put on Perform Music Incubator, our sister company, who are doing a really fantastic job of upskilling, folks in this space. So they have like running cohorts through the year. So I'd just like to encourage them to, take that chance and just apply and try and get all of this information and stuff that they need. So the 2026 season, keep it locked. Follow our pages, Blankets and Wine, across all platforms. And keep it locked there for all the amazing and interesting stuff that's going to be coming this year. Yeah.
Any other thing you want to say?
I just want to say thank you to everybody who came. Thank you to everybody who continues to contribute to the culture. We're all in this and we just want to see this thing propagate and move forward. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
That's it from our panelists and experts regarding safety planning for more inclusive and safer spaces in the industry. We have also come to the end of our discussions around event production, artist bookings, and managing your funds experience. I'm sure this is not going to be the end of this conversation. We'll continue growing. We'll continue attending events. We'll continue coming up with solutions of how to elevate event productions and the industry at large. I want to thank all our panelists who joined us at Industry Talks, which is an event that we host at the Goethe Institute and supported by the Goethe Institute Nairobi. It's been such an amazing run discussing events, and we're going to go deeper into the industry discussing other elements around the music industry, film, and TV. As a matter of fact, next week we're going to have a wonderful conversation which is going to be spotlighting Kenyan TV and film, making Kenyan stories bankable, and the balance between craft and commerce. We've come to the end of this episode, and we hope that you're going to come back next week for yet another amazing conversation from Industry Talks Nairobi. In case you have any feedback, any questions, any suggestions, please reach out to us on my social media, Anyiko, Owoko, or Industry Talks KE, and we'll make sure to read your comments and put in place whatever it is that you'd like to see right here on the podcast. Until then, see you next week. Ciao, ciao.
VIP Access Season 5 is proudly supported by the Goethe Institute Nairobi.